Right now, your heart is transmitting. Not metaphorically, not spiritually, literally, physically, measurably. Your heart is generating an electromagnetic field so powerful that it extends several feet beyond your body in every direction. With every single beat, waves of energy are rippling outward from your chest, carrying encoded information about your emotional state, your nervous system coherence, your deepest patterns of fear and love and longing. And that information is being read by other people, by your environment, by the quantum field itself. You have been broadcasting this signal your entire life, and almost none of it you chose. Think about that for a moment. There is a transmission going out from you right now. A real, measurable, electromagnetic broadcast. And for most of your life, you have had no idea what it was saying. You didn't know what frequency you were on. You didn't know what patterns were encoded in your signal. You didn't know that the reason certain things kept reaching you and certain things kept missing you had everything to do with what your heart was radiating at the quantum level. That changes today. In the next 60 minutes, you are going to discover something about yourself that no one ever sat you down and explained. You are going to understand your heart, not as a pump, not as a symbol, but as the most sophisticated electromagnetic broadcasting instrument that exists on this planet. You are going to learn what your heart has been transmitting without your conscious knowledge. You are going to feel the difference between a scattered signal and a coherent one. And you are going to walk away from this transmission, understanding something fundamental. That what you radiate, reality assembles around. Not as a poetic idea, as a quantum mechanical fact. Let me show you something about your field. Right now, you already know this on some level. You have felt it your whole life. You have walked into a room and felt something shift before a single word was spoken. You have been around certain people and felt inexplicably lighter, more alive, more possible, and around others and felt something drain from you before they even looked your way. You have had the experience of thinking about someone and having them call. You have sensed tension in a space where an argument happened hours before. You have met someone for the first time and felt in your chest a recognition that bypassed all logic. You always thought those experiences were mysterious, unexplainable, maybe even coincidental. They were not coincidences. They were your field reading other fields. They were electromagnetic communication happening below the threshold of words. They were your heart doing exactly what it was designed to do, transmitting and receiving information at a level of sophistication that your conscious mind is only beginning to catch up to. And here is the thing that is going to change everything for you today. The HeartMath Institute, a serious scientific research organization that has been studying the human heart's electromagnetic field for decades, has measured and documented that the heart generates an electromagnetic field 60 times greater in amplitude than the brain. 60 times. The heart's electrical field is 100 times stronger than the brain's. This field can be detected several feet from the body in all directions. It permeates every cell of your body and radiates outward into the space around you. And it carries within it encoded information about your emotional state, your nervous system patterns, and the coherence or incoherence of your entire being. This is your aura. This is the measurable, scientific, quantum mechanical reality of what ancient traditions have always called the human energy field. It is not a spiritual concept reserved for mystics. It is not a metaphor. It is your electromagnetic signature, and it is broadcasting right now. The question is, what is it saying? Because here is what most people never learn. Most people go through their entire lives radiating unconsciously. They broadcast fear without knowing it. They transmit patterns of lack and unworthiness that were installed in childhood. They radiate the emotional residue of experiences they thought they had moved past. And the quantum field, which does not judge, does not differentiate between what you want and what you fear, but simply responds to what you are actually emitting, assembles reality around that signal. This is why the same patterns keep showing up. This is why the same types of relationships find you. This is why certain opportunities seem to pass right through you, while others seem to magnetize toward you without effort. It is not luck. It is not fate. It is your broadcast. And the moment you become conscious of your signal, the moment you understand what your heart is actually transmitting, and you begin to consciously direct that transmission, everything changes. Because a conscious broadcast is infinitely more powerful than an unconscious one. The light that knows it is light, illuminates everything. You are that light. And today, you are going to see it clearly for the first time. Let us start at the very beginning. Let us start with what your heart actually is. Because I promise you that what you have been taught, is only a fraction of the truth. You were told that your heart is a pump, a muscular organ in your chest, whose job is to circulate blood through your body. And yes, it does that. It does that approximately 100,000 times per day, moving roughly 2,000 gallons of blood through 60,000 miles of blood vessels. The mechanical precision of it is staggering. But the heart is not primarily a pump. That is the smallest thing it does. Your heart is a brain. It is a field generator. It is a quantum transmitter of extraordinary power. The heart contains a complex and fully functional nervous system, what neuroscientists now call the intrinsic cardiac nervous system, or more evocatively, the heart-brain. This network contains over 40,000 sensory neurons that can sense, feel, learn, and remember independently of the brain in your skull. The heart sends more neural signals to the brain than the brain sends to the heart. Read that again. Your heart is talking to your brain more than your brain is talking to your heart. The heart is not a subordinate organ following instructions from above. It is a primary intelligence center that shapes what your brain perceives, processes, and decides. But even that is not the most extraordinary thing about your heart. The most extraordinary thing is the field it generates. That electromagnetic field, extending feet beyond your body in every direction, is not just a byproduct of cardiac electrical activity. It is an active information broadcast. The patterns within that field, the mathematical rhythms, the coherence or incoherence of the waveform, the encoded emotional signatures, carry real information that other living systems can detect and respond to. In HeartMath's research, they have documented that when one person's heart field is in a state of high coherence, meaning the electromagnetic waves are smooth, ordered, and rhythmically harmonious, other people in proximity to that field show measurable changes in their own nervous system activity. The coherent field of one person can literally entrain the nervous system of another. This is not suggestion. This is not placebo. This is electromagnetic resonance. One field influencing another field, because that is what fields do. This is why certain people calm you without a word. This is why you feel safe around some people before you know anything about them. This is why the most powerful leaders, healers, and teachers throughout human history have had what people describe as a presence, something you feel before they speak, something that reorganizes the energy in a room simply by entering it. That presence is a coherent, heart field. It is a broadcast so clear, so powerful, so harmonically ordered that it naturally entrains the fields of everyone nearby. And here is what you need to understand right now, in this moment, that capacity is in you. It is not reserved for special people. It is not a gift given to a few. It is your biological design. Your heart was built to generate this field. The only question is what you are currently broadcasting, and whether you are doing it consciously. Let me tell you what coherence actually means, because this word is going to become one of the most important words in your understanding of your own energy field. Coherence, in the context of your heart's electromagnetic field, means that the rhythmic patterns of your heartbeat are smooth, ordered, and mathematically harmonious. When you are in a state of genuine positive emotion, not forced positivity, not performed happiness, but authentic feelings like love, gratitude, care, and appreciation, your heart rhythm becomes coherent. The waveform smooths out. The electromagnetic signal becomes clear, powerful, and ordered. In this state, your heart, brain, and nervous system are synchronized. They are operating in harmonic resonance with each other, and the field your heart generates in this state is measurably different from the field it generates when you are stressed, fearful, or fragmented. When you are in a state of stress, anxiety, or emotional turbulence, your heart rhythm becomes incoherent. The waveform is jagged, erratic, disordered. The signal your field broadcasts is essentially static, fragmented information, conflicting frequencies, a broadcast that the quantum field reads as noise. And in that state, your ability to create, attract, and connect is profoundly diminished. Not because you are less worthy, because your signal is unclear. Think of it this way. Imagine you are trying to tune in to a radio station. The station is broadcasting a beautiful, clear signal. But between you and that signal, there is interference, static, crossed frequencies, competing broadcasts, all overlapping. You can barely make out the music beneath the noise. That is what an incoherent heart field is like. The signal is there. The transmission is happening. But it is so disrupted by the noise of stress and fear and unconscious emotional patterns that the quantum field cannot read it clearly. And what the quantum field cannot read clearly, it cannot respond to with precision. But when your heart field becomes coherent, when the signal clears, everything changes. The broadcast becomes powerful. the quantum field receives it with fidelity. And what you radiate, reality begins to assemble around. This is the science behind what people have always intuitively known. That the person with a warm, open heart changes the energy of every room they enter. That the person who has genuinely made peace with themselves seems to attract goodness without effort. That love, real love, felt in the body, generated in the heart, is the most powerful creative force in the universe. It is not poetry. It is physics. Now I want you to feel your own field for a moment. Not imagine it. Feel it. Place your attention in the center of your chest. Not on the surface of your skin, but deeper, into the space where your heart actually lives. And just notice, what is the quality of what is radiating from there right now? Is it open or contracted? Is it warm or guarded? Is it flowing or held? Is it broadcasting freely, or is there something around it? Some protective layer, some old armor that was put on so long ago you forgot it was there? Whatever you feel, that is your current broadcast. That is what the quantum field is receiving from you right now. And it is perfect information. Not because it is all beautiful and clear and coherent in this moment, but because now you can see it. And what you can see, you can consciously work with. Your aura knows. Your field is already communicating. The only thing that changes now is that you are becoming aware of what it is saying. If this transmission is opening something in you, go ahead and like this video and subscribe. There is so much more of this work here, and your field knows exactly where it needs to go next. Let us go deeper into what your heart has been broadcasting without your knowledge, because this is where the revelation gets personal. From the moment you were born, your heart began recording. Every experience you had, every moment of love, and every moment of fear, every time you felt safe, and every time you felt threatened, every relationship that opened you, and every one that closed you down. All of it left an imprint in your nervous system. And your heart, as the primary intelligence center of your body, encoded those patterns into your electromagnetic field. This is what HeartMath researchers call emotional memories stored in the heart. The heart does not just pump blood. It holds the emotional record of your life, and it broadcasts that record as part of your electromagnetic signature. Think about what that means. If you grew up in in an environment where love felt conditional, where you had to earn approval, where safety was uncertain, where your authentic expression was met with criticism or withdrawal, your heart learned to broadcast at a frequency that reflected that experience. It learned to contract, to guard, to send out a signal that was simultaneously reaching for connection and bracing for rejection. And that signal, encoded into your electromagnetic field, became part of what you broadcast to every new person you met, every new opportunity that appeared, every new situation the universe presented to you. You were not broken. You were not doing it wrong. You were doing exactly what any intelligent system does. You were broadcasting based on the data you had. The patterns in your field were not flaws. They were adaptations. They were the heart's way of saying, "This is what I learned about reality. This is what I know about what is safe and what is not. This is the frequency of my experience." But here is the extraordinary thing. Those patterns are not permanent. They are not who you are. They are what you learned. And what was learned can be unlearned. What was encoded can be recoded. What was broadcast unconsciously can be broadcast consciously. The heart is not a fixed instrument. It is a dynamic, responsive, living field generator. And it is extraordinarily sensitive to conscious intention. When you consciously shift your emotional state, when you deliberately generate feelings of love, gratitude, and appreciation in your body, your heart's electromagnetic field shifts in real time. The waveform changes. The coherence increases. The broadcast changes. This is not wishful thinking. This is documented, measurable, reproducible in laboratory conditions. Your heart responds to your conscious emotional direction. And when it does, the field it generates changes. And when the field changes, what the quantum field receives from you changes. And when what the quantum field receives from you changes, what reality assembles around you changes. You have more power over your broadcast than you have ever been told. Let me tell you about a woman named Lyra. Lyra had a gift that she did not understand and could not explain. Wherever she went, things seemed to open. Conversations would deepen unexpectedly. Strangers would offer help she had not asked for. Opportunities would appear in the most unlikely places. People told her she had good luck. She thought maybe they were right, but it never felt like luck from the inside. It felt like something she was doing. though she could not have told you what. What Lyra had, without knowing the science of it, without any training or technique, was a naturally coherent heart field. She had grown up in a home where love was unconditional and freely expressed, where she had been seen, genuinely seen, by the people who raised her, where her emotions were welcomed rather than suppressed. And because of that, her heart had learned to broadcast at a frequency of genuine openness and warmth. Her electromagnetic signature was clear. Her signal was coherent, and the quantum field responded to that signal with precision. People felt safe around her before she said a word. They trusted her before they had any reason to. Situations that would have been difficult for others seemed to resolve smoothly in her presence. Not because she was doing anything special, because of what she was radiating. Now, Lyra had a colleague named Marcus. Marcus was brilliant, genuinely, extraordinarily intelligent. He worked harder than anyone around him. He wanted deeply, desperately, to create the life he could see so clearly in his mind. But nothing seemed to stick. Opportunities would appear and then evaporate. Relationships would start with promise and then somehow always arrive at the same familiar disappointment. He had read every book. He had applied every strategy. And still, there was this invisible ceiling he could not seem to break through. Marcus did not know that his heart was broadcasting a frequency of striving, of not yetness, of a deep, unexamined belief that what he wanted was always slightly out of reach. He had learned that belief in childhood, not from cruelty, but from circumstances that had taught him that effort was required, that worthiness had to be proven, that the good things in life were for other people unless you earned them hard enough. And that belief, encoded in his nervous system, was part of every beat of his heart. It was in his electromagnetic signature. It was part of what he was broadcasting to the quantum field every moment of every day. And the quantum field, which does not judge, does not take sides, does not distinguish between what you want and what you believe you deserve, was simply responding to his actual signal, not his desire, his broadcast. The difference between Lyra and Marcus was not talent or luck or worthiness. It was the frequency of their heart fields. It was what they were radiating. The moment Marcus understood this, the moment someone showed him the science, showed him that his heart was broadcasting a pattern he had never chosen, that this pattern was shaping what reality could deliver to him. Everything shifted, not immediately in his circumstances, but in him, in his understanding of what was actually happening. And that shift in understanding was the beginning of a shift in his broadcast. Because here is the truth that changes everything. You cannot broadcast at a new frequency while you are unconscious of your current one. Awareness is the first act of transformation. Seeing your signal clearly, without judgment, without self-criticism, simply seeing it, is the moment your relationship with it changes. Because you can only consciously direct what you can consciously perceive. Marcus began to feel his heart field, to notice moment by moment what quality of energy was radiating from his chest. He began to catch the contraction, the subtle bracing, the effortful reaching, the frequency of striving, and to gently, deliberately shift it. Not by forcing himself to feel something he did not feel, but by finding the genuine feelings of appreciation that were already available to him. The warmth he felt for the people in his life, the gratitude for what he already had, the real felt sense of possibility that he could access when he stopped efforting long enough to breathe. And as he practiced, as he learned to shift his heart field from incoherence to coherence, from striving to genuine appreciation, his broadcast changed. And as his broadcast changed, what reached him changed. Not because the universe suddenly decided to be kinder to him, because he was finally transmitting a signal that the quantum field could respond to with clarity. Your light is on. It has always been on. The only question is what frequency it has been broadcasting. And that is something you now have the power to consciously direct. I want to pause here and ask you something genuine. Has there been a moment in your life when you felt your aura shift? A time when you walked into a room and something in you was simply on, and people responded differently, drawn toward your field without quite knowing why. Drop that moment in the comments. Your experience is real. It is electromagnetic, and sharing it contributes to the collective field we are building here together. Now I want to take you into the actual mechanics of what happens at the quantum level when your heart field becomes coherent. Because this is where the science becomes genuinely extraordinary, and where your understanding of your own power deepens beyond anything you have been told before. Quantum field theory tells us that at the most fundamental level of reality, everything that exists, every particle, every force, every structure of matter emerges from an underlying quantum field. This field is not empty space. It is a dynamic, information-rich medium that permeates all of existence, and it is exquisitely sensitive to the information that is broadcast into it. Your heart's electromagnetic field interacts with this quantum substrate. The information encoded in your heart's signal, the emotional patterns, the coherence or incoherence of your waveform, the frequency of your dominant emotional states, is broadcast into the quantum field with every heartbeat. And the quantum field responds, not randomly, not arbitrarily, but in accordance with the information it receives. This is what physicists call quantum resonance, the principle that systems at the quantum level tend to synchronize with, amplify, and respond to signals that match their frequency. When your heart field broadcasts a coherent signal, when your electromagnetic waveform is ordered, harmonious, and carrying the frequency of genuine positive emotion, the quantum field resonates with that signal. It amplifies it. It organizes around it. The probability of experiences, encounters, and circumstances that match that frequency increases. This is not magic. This is resonance. The same principle that causes a tuning fork to vibrate when another tuning fork of the same frequency is struck nearby. The same principle that causes ocean waves to synchronize under certain conditions. The same principle that underlies every form of entrainment in nature. Like frequencies amplify each other, and the quantum field, which underlies all of physical reality, is the ultimate resonant medium. When your heart is broadcasting coherently, you are essentially tuning the quantum field around you to a frequency that matches your signal. And what assembles in that field? The people, the opportunities, the synchronicities, the circumstances tends to match that frequency. When your heart is broadcasting incoherently, the signal is scattered. The quantum field receives a confused, fragmented transmission. And what assembles around that signal is similarly fragmented and confused, not as punishment, as physics. Now here is where it gets even more extraordinary. Because the quantum field is not a one-way broadcast medium. It is a field of interaction. It is not simply receiving your signal and responding. It is in constant, dynamic communication with your field. Every moment, the quantum field is sending information back to you. Information about the state of the field you are embedded in, about the patterns and possibilities that are available to you, about the resonant matches that exist for your current frequency. Your heart receives this information. Your nervous system processes it. And this is what you experience as intuition, as gut feeling, as the inexplicable knowing that something is right or wrong before you have any logical reason to believe it. That is not imagination. That is your heart reading the quantum field and translating that information into felt sense in your body. This is why the most consistently successful, creative, and connected people throughout human history have been people who trusted their heart. Not as a romantic notion, but as a literal quantum communication device. They were reading the field. They were receiving real information about the state of the quantum environment around them and making decisions based on that information. And because their heart fields were coherent, because their signal was clear, the information they received was clear. Your intuition is your heart's translation of quantum field data. And the clearer your heart's broadcast, the clearer the information you receive back. Feel your field right now. Notice what is radiating, not with judgment, with curiosity, with the warm recognition that whatever you feel is information. Your field is speaking, and now you are learning to listen. Let us talk about what specifically dims your broadcast, because you need to understand this, not to feel bad about it, not to judge yourself, but because understanding what interferes with your signal is how you learn to clear it. The primary disruptors of heart coherence, the things that fragment your electromagnetic field and scatter your broadcast, are what HeartMath researchers call toxic emotions. These are not simply negative feelings. Feeling sadness, grief, or even anger in a healthy, expressed, processed way does not necessarily disrupt heart coherence. What disrupts coherence are the chronic, suppressed, unresolved emotional patterns that live in the body as a constant low-level interference. Chronic anxiety is one of the most powerful signal disruptors that exists. When you are in a persistent state of low-grade worry, the kind that runs in the background of your mind like an app that never closes, your heart rhythm becomes erratic. Your nervous system is in a constant state of alert, flooding your body with stress hormones that literally alter the electromagnetic patterns your heart generates. And that altered pattern is what your field broadcasts, not your conscious desire for peace and abundance. The electromagnetic signature of your anxious nervous system. Chronic resentment is another. Unprocessed anger held in the body as a long-term emotional posture the kind that has calcified into a world view, a belief that people cannot be trusted, that you have been wronged, and the world is fundamentally unsafe. This emotional pattern, held in the body over time, creates a specific kind of electromagnetic interference in your heart field, a frequency that the quantum field reads as a signal of contraction, guardedness, and separation. And what assembles around that signal matches it: grief that has not been allowed to move through, shame that has been buried so deep you have forgotten it is there, the persistent, quiet hum of unworthiness that so many people carry, the feeling, never quite articulated, that you are somehow not enough, not quite deserving of the full beauty of what life can offer. These are not character flaws. They are emotional patterns encoded in your nervous system, and they are part of your broadcast. And here is the compassionate truth. You did not choose these patterns. They were installed by experiences, by relationships, by a culture that in many ways teaches people to suppress their authentic emotional lives rather than process them. You were doing the best you could with what you knew. And the fact that these patterns have been running in your field unconsciously is not a failure. It is simply what happens when no one ever teaches you that your heart is a broadcast instrument, and that what you carry emotionally shapes your signal. But now you know, and knowing changes everything. Because the path to a coherent heart field, to a clear, powerful, conscious broadcast, is not about forcing yourself to feel positive. It is not about suppressing the jasa difficult emotions and performing happiness. That would just add another layer of incoherence to your signal. The path to coherence is through authenticity, through feeling what is actually there, through allowing the emotional patterns that have been stored in your body to move, to be acknowledged, to be processed and released. This is what the radiance practices in this transmission are designed to support. Not to give you a technique for faking a higher frequency, but to help you access the genuine warmth, the real appreciation, the authentic love that is already in you, underneath the layers of conditioning and suppression and unconscious broadcasting, to help you find your way back to the natural coherence that is your birthright. Because here is the truth that I want you to hold close. You were not born with an incoherent heart field. You were born in full, natural coherence. Watch a baby experiencing genuine joy, the full body, uninhibited, radiant joy of a being who has not yet learned to suppress or guard or protect. That is your natural state. That is the frequency you came in with. Everything that dimmed, it was learned. And what was learned can be unlearned. What was added can be removed. What was dimmed can be re-illuminated. You don't need to become radiant. You need to stop dimming the radiance that is already there. Let us do the first radiance practice together. Right now, I want you to find a comfortable position, seated or lying down, whatever allows your body to soften and release. Take a breath that reaches all the way down into your belly. Not a controlled breath, not a technique breath, just a real, full breath that lets your body know it is safe to expand. And exhale slowly, letting your shoulders drop, letting your jaw release, letting your hands open. Now bring your attention into your chest, not to the surface of your body, but to the interior space where your heart lives. And for a moment, just listen, just feel. What is the quality of the energy in that space right now? Is it tight? Is it open? Is it warm or cool? Is it moving or still? Whatever you find there, just acknowledge it. Just let it be exactly what it is. Now I want you to think of something that genuinely, authentically moves you toward warmth. It does not have to be grand. It does not have to be profound. It can be the face of someone you love. It can be the memory of a moment when you felt completely, utterly at peace. It can be the image of something in nature that fills you with a sense of beauty and rightness. It can be the feeling of sunlight on your skin, or the sound of rain, or the warmth of a cup of tea held in both hands. Something small and real and genuinely warm. Find that. Feel it in your body. Let it be real. Not performed. Not manufactured. Just genuinely felt. And now notice what happens in your chest when you hold that feeling. Notice the quality of the energy in your heart space. Does it soften? Does it open? Does something warm begin to radiate from that center? That warmth, that opening, that softening, that is your heart field shifting toward coherence. That is your electromagnetic signature changing in real time. That is your broadcast clearing. Stay with that feeling for a moment. Breathe into it. Let it expand. You don't need to force it larger. Just let it be what it naturally is. Let your heart generate it. Let your field carry it. This is not a technique for pretending. This is a technique for remembering, for finding the genuine warmth that is always available in you. underneath the noise and the armor and the unconscious static. For bringing your heart field into coherence by accessing what is authentically, genuinely warm in your experience. This is what your heart is capable of broadcasting. This is what the quantum field receives when you are in coherence. This is the signal that reality assembles around. Feel your field right now. Notice what is radiating. That is your light. It is real. It is on. It has always been on. Now let us go deeper into the layers of what your heart is actually broadcasting. Because there is something here that most people never learn, and it is one of the most practically important things you will take away from this transmission. Your heart broadcasts on multiple channels simultaneously. It is not a single frequency transmitter. It is a complex, multi-layered electromagnetic system that is sending out information on several different levels at once. And understanding these layers is what allows you to understand why your life looks the way it does, and how to consciously shift it. The first layer is what we might call the survival broadcast. This is the most primal, most deeply encoded layer of your heart's signal. It is generated by the oldest parts of your nervous system, the structures that evolved to keep you alive in a dangerous world. And it carries information about safety and threat. It broadcasts either, "I am safe," or "I am in danger." It broadcasts either, "The world is fundamentally supportive," or "The world is fundamentally threatening." Most people, without knowing it, are broadcasting a survival signal that says danger, even when they are objectively safe. This is because the nervous system does not distinguish well between real physical threats and emotional threats. If you grew up in an environment of emotional unpredictability, if love was inconsistent, if you were criticized or shamed, if there was conflict or instability in your early environment, your nervous system learned to stay on alert. And that alert state became your baseline. Your heart learned to broadcast a low-level frequency of threat, even in the absence of any actual danger. And the quantum field responds to that signal. It assembles circumstances that match the frequency of danger and uncertainty, not because it wants to harm you, because it is simply resonating with your broadcast. The second layer is the relational broadcast. This is the information your heart field carries about your relationship to other people, about whether you believe yourself to be fundamentally connected or fundamentally separate, about whether you expect to be welcomed or rejected, about whether love, in your experience, is safe or dangerous.